they're trying to find him, and his sister, so his wife, so he was married, his wife, his sister, and his mother were in Disney World. And so they come back and
oh, by the way.
Yeah, right. And they come back and they come into the sheriff's department. They give an interview. His wife is like, he didn't do it, and just ultimately on his side. By the way, she's 17. So she is, totally unbelieving. And his sister says, well, I actually met him last night in Orangeburg, which was about 45 minutes away. And I got him a hotel room in Orangeburg. And he more or less confessed, said, yeah, I did what they're saying I did. And I've done a lot of bad stuff. I've done more than I can remember. And so police respond to the hotel room. He's gone from there. They begin triangulating his phone. And about 2.5 days after my escape, they find him in Florida, where he's supposed to be meeting his sister. They set up a different sister. They set up a, kind of roadblock. They're trying to catch him, right? So they have the police, a stakeout more or less. And he sees them and he flees before he meets with his sister. A short police chase. They send out stop sticks. They deploy stop sticks and, burst his tires in his car, at which point he wrecks his car, and they send in a police canine that bites him. And at some point between the canine biting his leg, biting his arm, he pulls out a gun and shoots himself right there on the side of the road in Sarasota, Florida. So
good for him.
Yeah. Right.
We got special places for guys like that. I don't know if you've ever heard or read about it, but they go straight there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, to be quite honest, when I heard, I think I didn't hear until the next morning what happened. And when I heard, I was actually really mad. Initially I was really angry because I wanted to sit across from him in a courtroom, and I wanted him to know that he was outsmarted by a 15-year-old, and that choosing me was the biggest mistake that he ever made, that I was his downfall. I wanted him to know that. And then, there's also this side of me that began to realize as time passed that it was the biggest blessing that could ever happen to me, simply because I never had to sit in a courtroom and have all of the details told. I never had to have my character questioned or any of the other terrible things that happen whenever there is any sort of sexual assault case that goes to trial. And my parents never had to sit in a courtroom and hear everything that happened. Right. No. So I went into immediately protecting my family.
Oh, you can rest easy knowing that sucker knew exactly what it was that got him where he was at.
Oh yeah.
When you're sitting there and dogs are tearing you up and you go to pull that blaster out, that's the last thing going. Trust me, pure fear, chaos, and now he's in it perpetually. Yeah. Right. It'll never go away.
Yep.
So I mean,
yeah. Even though you didn't sit across from him in a courtroom, like that's what hell is a continuous, everlasting trauma. I mean, and that's what he's going through, is knowing what he did to you, and he will never let it down. So he will be punished for eternity.
So that was in your early teenage years.
Yeah, 15.
And so afterwards, if you don't mind talking about that, so the path back into life, like getting back into your routine, because I mean, you didn't really turn it around. You just turned it into something that would benefit and help people.
Yeah. So, when we were talking,
which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. When we were talking in our icebreaker, you said, the ability to never feel pain. And I was thinking, that's what I did. I compartmentalized, right? So I dissociated all of my emotions. So that was how I dealt at the time. But because I was 15 years old, that became my stress coping mechanism long term, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I get that.
So for me, immediately, I go back to life, and I just want everyone to treat me like they treated me a week ago, right? I'm like, I'm still the same person. This did not affect me. I am fine, you guys. I'm just trying to protect everybody else. I don't want my parents to, when I'm giving my statement, I don't want my parents in the room, because I don't want them to hear, right? Like everything that happened. And so I just want to go back to life as normal. I want to go back to being a 15-year-old girl. And, I had some difficult time going back to school. It wasn't a gigantic school, and people would talk about me instead of talking to me. And that would make me absolutely crazy. But ultimately, for 15 years, I told myself, well, this doesn't affect me. I can go like long periods of time and never even think about this thing that happened. So I thought I was going back to life as normal, right? Immediately. It took me a very long time to learn how I was affected, and that being affected by something that happens is not a bad thing. And so the next summer, the sheriff of the agency that worked my case, he actually ended up becoming a family friend. And so the next summer, he called my mom up and said, would Carol like to come and work for us doing administrative stuff? And I thought, well, that sounds like a pretty good summer job, right? Like, as opposed to a lot of the other summer jobs that teenagers get. And so I went and did administrative stuff, and I worked in victim services. Doing data entry was the first thing that I did.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.